All right, Tigers. Hello, good morning. It's a podcast for the 15th here of May. Happy Friday. Just to make sure we're clear here, a couple things. Quizlet was assigned, due Friday the 15th. Make sure everything's done. Textbook reading. Early next week, we're going to have a reading quiz and notes quiz on the stuff that we've covered so far. Today's going to be Bush foreign policy, and then you can see as we move forward here, test on the 22nd on the Bush administration. Okay, so you guys are all having a quick day, or a good day, excuse me. This is going to be a short one, because we dealt with the war on terror a little bit yesterday, but let's make sure we get into a little more detail here. Okay, so we ran into issues with China, right? As our buddy likes to say. New president's Hu Jintao. If anybody gets Mr. Maddox next year for class, he'll have this joke where he'll go, "Who's the president of China?" People thinking WHO. If he does that and you have him in class, just say yes. He'll get really mad because his joke is ruined and he'll come and yell at me. Okay, whatever, right? So April 2001, before 9/11 here, one of our spy planes, now I know that doesn't look like very agile and stealthy, but it's a spy plane that's collecting data, especially transmission. You can see the little antennae right on the bottom of the plane. It actually collided with a Chinese fighter. The Chinese fighter exploded. Our spy plane is going to crash land on Hainan Island off the coast of China. So what comes of this is a little bit silly, but our guys were held for 12 days. Some of the guys were injured, so they were sort of nursed back to health. They were taken care of, 3 squares meals a day, so everything was fine. Maybe they took a field trip to meet General So. I don't know, whatever the case may be. But after the Chinese return these guys to us, the Chinese are like, listen, you got to pay for the cost of us cleaning up your plane and taking care of your guys and feeding them and all this stuff like that. So they then they requested payment of $34,567.89. If you note, 12 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, that's just silly. Right? The other thing that they have excuse me, is the plane. So what did we say? Can we have the plane back? They said sure. And they sent it back in 100 boxes. The Chinese broke everything down, copied our technology, and then sent everything back to us with instructions on how to put the plane back together. Yes. All right, there's our buddy, Pooty. Okay? Now, what happened in Russia is that a lot of those democratic reforms that had taken place under Gorby had started to fall by the wayside. And there was a longing by a number of hardliners in the Soviet-Russian background that wanted more of a consolidation of power. So Putin, that's exactly what he's been doing. He's becoming more authoritarian throughout. Okay, so we signed the SORT Treaty, which again is going to limit our nuclear arsenals down to a much lower number, down to 1,700. The one thing that they do, though, is the ABM treaty that we had signed with them for anti-ballistic missile is no longer recognized, meaning they think that they should be able to defend themselves and create weaponry to defend them in case the United States or NATO or China maybe encroaches on their power. One of the big issues that we've been dealing with over the last 30 years is this issue with North Korea. Remember, Carter went over and helped negotiate an agreement in 94. We would give the North $4 billion oil and help them construct light water nuclear reactors to stop their nuclear weapons program. Well, all of a sudden, in 2006, they blew up a bomb. Now, it wasn't exactly a total nuclear detonation. They still haven't perfected that at that point. But we're like, what the hell? We gave you $4 billion, and now you're doing this again. So in May, they agreed to shut down the reactors for the release of their frozen bank funds. So we had to come to a deal. The United States, China, and North Korea. And the key point in this deal is China. China has to be on board with this because they're like North Korea's big brother. If the Chinese say something, they might get North Korea to help more successfully, jump involved here. But we know for a fact that they've since restarted their nuclear program, and we're still dealing with those issues right now. In 2005, you really see a shift in American foreign policy because President Bush started pushing this idea of the need and want for a Palestinian state. The United States, guys, since Harry Truman, has always believed in a one-state solution. Israel, Israel, Israel. Excuse me. Now you're starting to see the shift into maybe it should be Israel and Palestine. So when Arafat dies, he was denounced by the United States. Omer and Abbas, Omer the Prime Minister of Israel and Abbas the President of Palestine, come to an agreement that Israel must stop all activity in the West Bank, which they have started again since then, right? And the Palestinians must halt all terrorist activities. So we have these issues going on, and now there's walls being constructed, a lot of things that we're running into right now. There's Gaddafi. You'll see multiple spellings of Gaddafi. Okay, 2003, disarm all their weapons of mass destruction, allow the weapons inspectors in, and in 2006, with full diplomatic ties, they're now off the axis of evil. Iran, Ahmadinejad. No nuclear weapons. We've been running into issues with Iran recently, right? In 2003, they stopped making a bomb, but they were continuing to enrich uranium. So I don't know if we got into this detail a lot, but we know that the Iranian nuclear program is being worked on inside a mountain, very protected defensive space. However, we set their nuclear program back by years when we realized there was a phone line that we could access going into the mountain. So we basically hacked into the mountain and told all of their, excuse me if I use the wrong term here, cyclotrons, the things that refine uranium, they spin and clean out the uranium. We told them all to spin as fast as they could until they broke all of them, which set them back a long ways. So a bit of a sordid thing, but President Bush identified a number of nations that he called the axis of evil. I'm going to make sure that we had this talked about at this point, okay? So if you look at it and you start to evaluate his foreign policy, we don't really do anything with Cuba, right? Libya is going to come off the list. North Korea, we signed a treaty with. Iraq, we pummeled, right? So when you look at this list, I mean, we had agreements with one, 2, 3, 4 of the 6 under President Bush. So not a bad number going forward. Okay? Monday, domestic policy. Okay? Make sure you tune in. You guys have a great day. Go Tigers.